Today we are going to explore one of the most important initiatives using blockchain to improve healthcare. Stay with me, I'll walk you through the whole story, but before we start, make sure to subscribe to the Blockchain for Healthcare Global channel to keep up to date on how blockchain is reshaping the health and healthcare ecosystem. See you in a moment. Ciao, I'm Fabio Fiorentini with Morghi, the channel's mascot. Welcome to a new episode of Blockchain for Healthcare Global. Today we are talking about PharmaLedger, a project that started as a European initiative and then evolved over time. As a European research project, all the official information about PharmaLedger can be found on the Cordis portal. What is Cordis? Cordis stands for Community Research and Development Information Service. It is the official European Commission portal that collects, publishes, and makes accessible all research and innovation projects funded by the European Union. PharmaLedger was launched under the Horizon 2020 program, even though the broader Horizon framework itself was created a few years earlier. Today, this program is known as Horizon Europe. Horizon is the Europe Framework program that funds research and innovation. Within Horizon 2020, there was a group of projects gathered under what is called IMI, which stands for Innovative Medicines Initiative. PharmaLedger was one of these projects. IMI-2JU indicates that this was the second phase of the initiative, following an early IMI-1. JU stands for Joint Undertaking. So, what exactly is IMI-2JU? It is a public-private partnership. I already talked about this concept in one of my early videos, often referred to as the 3 Ps. This partnership has two funding pillars. The public side is represented by the European Union through the Horizon 2020 program. The private side is represented by multinational pharmaceutical companies operating under the umbrella of EFPIA, which stands for European Federation of Pharmaceutical Industries and Associations. These two components jointly co-funded IMI-2JU. PharmaLedger ran from January 2020 to December 2022 for a total duration of 3 years, with funding of just over 22 million euros. Around 30 organizations were involved, coming from both the public and private sectors. On the public side, participants included hospitals, universities, and research institutes. In fact, the project coordinator was the Universidad Politécnica de Madrid. On the private side, there were several multinational pharmaceutical companies, small and medium-sized technology companies, and patient associations. Italy was also represented on the public side of the project. From 2023 onward, PharmaLedger stopped being a public-private partnership. The project formally ended and evolved into the PharmaLedger Association, a non-profit consortium based in Basel, Switzerland. Once again, we see around 30 members, including pharmaceutical multinationals, technology companies, and public organizations. Not only participants from the original PharmaLedger project are part of the association. Some left and new members joined. The goal, therefore, is to create a shared platform with decentralized governance among healthcare stakeholders, providing distributed trust and support for innovative digital solutions. These solutions cover multiple use cases from clinical trials to supply chains, from manufacturing processes to the patient, including things like the information leaflet inside medicine packages. In this context, the underlying infrastructures can be only a blockchain or, more broadly, a distributed ledger technology. PharmaLedger actually gives a name to this trust ecosystem. It aims to build among healthcare stakeholders. On the Cordis portal, there is a visual representation of the development path of the different use cases PharmaLedger focuses on. These use cases can easily be considered full-fledged projects. It's clear that the focus is on the pharmaceutical domain, although the first three use cases relate to clinical settings. The first one is anonymous patient matching for clinical trials, which facilitates voluntary recruitment while reducing costs and intermediaries. Then there is electronic consent, which becomes dynamic and updatable in real time, together with connected devices such as wearables and sensors that enable remote, real-time patient monitoring for clinical trials. Next comes clinical supply, which focuses on secure traceability of medicines used in clinical trials, reducing errors and improving inspections. Another project concerns finished goods traceability, introducing digital identity and real-time data to track medicines along the supply chain, including inventory management. Then there is EPI, Electronic Product Information, which is particularly important because it is already in the adoption phase. Calling it a simple electronic leaflet is quite reductive. There is also anti-counterfeiting, which focuses on authenticating medicines to prevent falsification, a very relevant issue. Finally, there is personalized medicine, where blockchain, real-world data, and AI are used to develop tailored therapies. These are the main projects the PharmaLedger Association is working on, and they can be found in the section of the website called XLab Innovation, which represents the technological core of the association. Each project has a different maturity level, identified by the acronym TRL, which stands for Technology Readiness Levels, ranging from proof of concept to real-world adoption, as in the case with API. When talking about PharmaLedger projects based on blockchain, one concept needs to be clarified immediately. There is no single PharmaLedger blockchain. PharmaLedger projects are built on a modular, layered architecture that can use different blockchains or distributed ledgers. For example, EPI uses Quorum, which can be considered a permission version of Ethereum. The underlying technology is the same, but governance is different. This choice is deliberate because the system is designed to remain valid even if underlying technologies change over time. This approach is known as technology agnostic, meaning it is independent of any specific distributed ledger technology. Each use case can rely on the most suitable blockchain without imposing a single choice across the entire platform. At the core of this architecture is OpenDSU, which stands for Open Data Sharing Unit. It can be seen as a secure digital container that holds data. Pay attention to this point. The data is stored in the DSU, not on the blockchain. The information remains off-chain. So what actually goes on the blockchain? As I have explained in several videos, what is recorded on the blockchain is the hash of the data, its cryptographic fingerprint. This fingerprint cannot be used to reconstruct the original data, but it allows you to verify whether the data has been modified over time. This is how integrity and immutability are guaranteed. Now here comes a more complex concept, hash anchoring. Anchoring does not happen at a single level, but follows a hierarchical structure. The hash of a DSU is first recorded on the blockchain associated with a specific use case. That blockchain is then anchored to a higher level blockchain called the parent blockchain. This process continues up to a root blockchain, which represents the highest level of guarantee, something that could be described as the blockchain of last resort. What's the purpose of this architecture? If in the future a blockchain needs to be replaced or a use case migrates to another technology, applications will continue to work and the trust chain will remain intact without the need to rewrite the software. Another key component enters the picture here, Key SSI, which stands for Key Self-Sovereign Identity or Self-Sovereign Cryptographic Identifiers. What do? They manage access control to data and have a dual role. They work both as encryption keys and as digital identities. This makes it possible to define precisely who can access which data and under what conditions. User data is stored in a digital wallet, an application running on a smartphone or PC, and remains under the direct control of the user, not a central infrastructure. At the top of the layer, we finally have the application layer, where concrete applications operate: drug traceability, electronic product information, clinical trial use cases, and more. These applications interact with the infrastructure through APIs, which stands for Application Programming Interfaces, standard interfaces that ensure interoperability, and SDKs, software development kits, designed to simplify development and support scalability. API is the first PharmaLedger solution based on blockchain and distributed ledgers to move beyond the experimental phase and be adopted in real-world contexts. This is interesting because here blockchain moves from theory to practice and becomes real infrastructure supporting companies. In practical terms, API can be seen as the digital version of the medicine leaflet. It provides product information that can be updated over the time and accessed directly by patients and healthcare professionals. How does it work? You scan the code on the medicine package and open the correct leaflet in the right language. The interesting part happens behind the scenes. The content itself is not stored on the blockchain. It remains off-chain, managed by company, just as it is today. The blockchain plays its usual role, fixing versioning and integrity, confirming that what you are reading is authentic and up-to-date. The backend of API is called Astra Label. It is the infrastructure that makes all of this possible by managing regulatory content and its distribution across different countries. According to the PharmaLedger website, API is currently enabled globally, supporting 46 countries and 29 languages, and can be accessed by citizens where it has been adopted. Without exaggeration, PharmaLedger can be considered one of the most structured, concrete, and solid initiatives when it comes to the use of blockchain, or more precisely, distributed ledger technologies in healthcare. There is a lot of materials available on PharmaLedger, mainly on its official website, which is particularly rich in content. Earlier, I mentioned XLab Innovation. Within that section, you'll find video clips for many of the projects, most of them published on YouTube. There are also recordings of several webinars, some of which are public and open for registration. I personally attended one last August. There is also a newsletter that provides regular updates on the evolution of the PharmaLedger Association, as well as an annual report includes financial information. All of this gives a clear sense of a solid organization, moving in a concrete way, with a very well-defined vision. If you've made it this far, thank you. If you enjoyed what you watched and listened to, leave a like and subscribe to the Blockchain for Healthcare Global channel. See you next time. Take care. Ciao.